Alright, guys. With the massive increase in popularity, the resurgence, if you will, of Pokemon, I decided that, since I personally like the lore and the history of things, that we would cover the history of the origins of Pokemon, both in universe and in the real world. Alright, so get ready. Okay, so we all know what Pokemon are. Adorable little monsters that you catch in balls and, you force them to fight or compete somehow, right? Now, I'm not here to judge whether that's okay or not. That's not really my thing. But I'm going to tell you where they came from, alright? So, just like most creation myths, it starts out of nothing. Complete, absolute chaos, right? So it just unbridled, just churning, undulating, if you will, mass stuff, right? And then out of that is born a single egg, right? One single egg. We all know Pokemon hatch out of eggs. Doesn't matter what they are. That's irrelevant. They all come from eggs, right? So this first one, if you know anything about the lore, it's Arceus. Basically, Pokemon Jesus. The god of creation. Uh, it is any color, or, yeah, color. Any element, if you will. It can be fire, water, you know, grass, whatever type it wants to be, whenever it wants to be. Um, After it is brought into creation, shortly after that, it decides to create Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina. It gives them the power of time, space, and antimatter. I guess it's technically what Giratina's ability is, um, which is kind of destructive. I don't understand why he would give him the power to destroy things, but that's basically what he can do. But as he receives the gift from Arceus, he destroys stuff, which makes Arceus mad, so he decides to send him into the distortion world, right? So then, uh, Dialga and Palkia then were able to create the Pokemon universe, right? Uh, and then after they were done and they were satisfied, they retreated into their own uh, dimensions, right? Um, in the game, you can access their points in the Spear Pillar in the Sinnoh region, right? Also, after that, Arceus then creates Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf, right? They kind of look like a mixture between uh, Jirachi and Mew, kind of, giving them a knowledge, emotion, and willpower um, to give to every Pokemon coming into existence, right? So uh, they decide that they like living in lakes for some reason, so they all go to their own lakes. Lake Verity, Lake Valor, and Lake Acuity in Sinnoh. Um, Hereby they're dubbed the Lake Guardians, right? And then comes the emergence of Kyogre, Groudon, and Rayquaza, right? So Kyogre is formed, I guess this is where the first ones that are not created by Arceus come from, right? They're natural byproducts of existence, I guess. Okay, so Kyogre is formed in the pressures of the deep sea trenches. Like somehow they coalesce and they create this whale god thing, right? Groudon is formed deep in the earth from magma cooling and hardening, and then you get giant monitor lizard, and then Rayquaza is formed by stray minerals floating around in the ozone layer, and he, coalesces into this long green dragon serpent thing, right? Um, who is known to come to rest on a place called the Sky Pillar. So Groudon and Kyogre are vying for territory, water, earth, which is basically the whole plot line between, I think it's Gen 3. One wants more water to cover the world, one wants earth to cover the world, but it's that balancing act. We all know it's kind of like a more of a kids game, so like they need a hook, but everybody knows we both need earth and water to survive, right? So, um, Kyogre and Groudon, they start populating their respective ocean or realms, I guess you could say, the land and the water, right? And eventually they run into each other. And if you know anything, if you watch any of the anime or anything like that, Pokemon, uh, Groudon and Kyogre do not get along, right? They constantly fight over each other. They have followers that fight for supremacy. Um, but then Rayquaza jumps in and he basically beats him up and sends him to the room, right? You guys knock it off, go back to where you came from, don't let me catch you out here again, and that's basically that, right? Uh, so, yeah, that's Gen 3. So the blue orb and the red orb are created to keep those two in the rooms sleeping, right? And at that time, basically all the Pokemon are like Mew, because Mew is like a shape changer, right? So he's created. They were created by Kyogre and Groudon and Rayquaza, land, air, and sea type stuff. Um, After that, you get bigger land masses and everything like that move together, continents, regions, stuff. More Pokemon popping up, but here is where we get Regigigas, right? The biggest of the Regis, the big monster thing. Um, and then it creates the three subtypes: the Regirock, the Regice, and the Registeel. One at a clay, ice, and magma. This is where the mountain, like the regions, run together and they create these big mountains called the Stark Mountains in the Sinnoh region. Um, Also, this is where Heatran is created, much like Groudon. He's formed out of pools of lava, magma, whatever. And then this is where Arceus creates the Adamant, the Lustrous, and the Greasius orbs before falling asleep for however long he sleeps. Um, yeah, and those are basically your, from top to bottom, your mythical, right? Okay, now in our world, the game of Pokemon was created by a gentleman named Satoshi Tajiri, right? He was a video game developer turned director, and he had a small magazine company called Game Freak, right, where he would report on games and uh, do reviews and give strategies and walkthroughs and everything like that back, in the 80s, right? Now he claims that he got the idea when you could join two Game Boys together with the link. Uh, you know what I mean. Well, maybe some of you don't, but when you were younger, you could get your Game Boy Color, or whatever, and then it had like a link cable, almost looks like a USB cable nowadays, but you plug it into one, plug it into the other, and that's how you could trade before they came out with DSs that had wireless infrared trading or whatever, right? So he said that's how he got the game, how he got one of the concepts. The other concept is that he was an avid insect collector. I know they have a real name, but I don't know what it is. And the idea of Pokemon catching them all came to him when he wanted to collect and categorize all the known insects in the world, or unknown, all the insects in the world, um, which you and I know there's a lot. There's a lot. So that's basically it. Okay, so the concept was pitched to Nintendo, um, where Tajiri was doing some freelance work, right? And he it was pitched in 1990. Um, I was 4 in 1990, but this dude was already making Pokemon, right? Um, they didn't quite understand, like the executives, like didn't really get what Tajiri was talking about, right? So he elaborated. They still didn't get it, but they kind of went with it anyways because he already had a good reputation for being in the business, helping develop other, uh, freelance games and stuff for Nintendo, right? Um, and they said that the Pokemon Red and Green took 6 years to produce. So they pitched it in 1990, and it was ready to go in 1996. Um, Also, this is where, when small companies are trying to do big things, it might not seem like a big deal now, especially having played in the US, it's Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue. In Japan, it was green and red, right? Um, it pretty much bankrupt Game Freak, because if you remember, Game Freak was just a magazine, and magazine sales really isn't enough to fund an entire 6 year project, right? So um, I'm glad they made it though. Um, they had private investors. One was a company called Creatures Inc. That's why when you start it up, you see Game Freak and then Creatures Inc. And that's really what helped finalize and push everything over the edge to be able to get to a finished game. Um, and at that point, to get the deal done, Game Freak had to they made a deal for a third of the rights for the Pokemon franchise to go to Creatures Inc., right? So I mean, that's kind of like a big deal, you know. A third of your company, you're something that you've been developing, thinking about for years, obsessing over, working on, and then somebody comes in and is like, "Hey, I can make this happen, but I just need a third of your dream." You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. That seems uh, necessary but rough, right? So, in that way, Pokemon was released in 1996 in Japan, or 95, 96 in Japan, 98 in the States. Um, Not only the Game Boy version, the TV show, and the trading cards, which we've seen a giant explosion of um, within the last couple months, honestly. Uh, there are cards that from 20 years ago that are going for six figures, which is absolutely insane. Now, me being the nerd that I am, I do happen to have quite a bit of first gen number one cards left. Um, yeah. So, you want to look at my cards real quick? Okay. Now, see these? Yep. See this guy? This guy. This is this is the card that everybody's making a big deal about. You know what I mean? Um, they are appraised by PSA, which is like how you get your cards um, graded. So for a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best or whatever. Um, a mint condition Charizard, like this one, um, on they're saying that it goes to the tune of 28,000, but other ones are going. And like this Charizard, same one. Or this Dark Charizard. You know what I mean? Another Blastoise, a couple Gyarados. You know, it's whatever. I'm pretty much a big deal in the Pokemon scene. Yeah, a complete set of new, or yeah, a complete set of first edition Pokemon cards. Not to mention um, binders of the recent ones. You know what I mean? Just new everything, right? Um, I like Pokemon, I really do. Um, but now they have these. Why'd you do that? But now they have these new cards, GX, VX, full art, Eevee, full art. Man, that's hard to see. Okay, you know, just all these full art, shiny cards. You know, just that's Deoxys. We didn't talk about him. Regigigas we talked about. Shiny. Yeah. So that's basically it, guys. The moral of the story: don't throw away your old cards. But yeah, uh, that's it. Oh yeah, like, comment, subscribe. If you have anything you want to see from any sort of topic, any topic at all. You know, we were doing D&D, but switched to Pokemon for a little bit. Um, we can do whatever. Yeah. If you have an idea, leave it in the comments. Yeah. Like, comment, subscribe, and have fun. All right. See you guys.